Hello. It's really a great pleasure to be here at the Women of the Future conference. I've got a grand title here, Designing the Future of AI, and one would hope that would be a very inclusive mission. So it's wonderful to talk here today. A little précis of my history, because I've pretty much worked in AI my whole career. It began with a robotic camera for doing motion control photography for film effects, which is repeat pass photography, which allows you to create really augmented reality on film. That my interest in augmented reality began there. Later, co-founded Augmented World Expo with Ori Inbar, and became very interested in simulation and simulation games. And was very fortunate to work with Will Wright for 4 years, one of the great designers of AI for simulation games. And for the last 7+ years, I've been working in technology strategy and planning, which I think explains why I like to think big. Anyway, that's the crazy history. And on to the next one. Yes, the slide advance. So we'll get away the big problems first. The challenge number one, there is no AI. That's, I think we understand this difficulty because we're surrounded by a lot of speculation. I like these points by Jaron Lanier because let's be pragmatic. Let's think of AI as a tool so that we can design things. If we mythologize it, we, basically all we can do is keep creating myths. So I think and I like his framing of what we're building today as an innovative form of social collaboration. And then the other big one to get out of the way, the AI singularity, which of course means many things to many people. I particularly like Vernor Vinge's definition. I was fortunate Vernor Vinge came to augmented reality event early on. I've met him, absolutely fantastic on this future. But it's really important to pay attention to this point. Even if one could know that it was imminent, one could not know what it would be like in any specificity. That's why the emphasis on design in this talk. So let's get to the real challenge in designing the future of AI. Everything's connected. So when everything is connected, for better or worse, everything matters. And that means it's a giant problem. Actually, fortunately, from working in AI, we've learned how to work with giant problems. And one of the ways you tackle this is you find a good heuristic, a shortcut. And it matters what heuristic you take. It's not, it's not an algorithm, it's not predictable, it's not repeatable. And so even when you're designing an AI model, you think carefully when you use a heuristic. For this big project, I've become very excited actually by Bruce Mau's heuristic for massive change. And he begins his thinking with this statement in this wonderful book. Practically everything we do today needs to change. It doesn't have to be quickly, it can be slowly, but I think this statement is quite a very good summary of why. And, we are still doing most things as if we own nature and have unlimited resources. That has real implications for what we're doing now in technology. We work as if waste is not a problem. We treat nature like a pantry and a toilet. We think short term. We dump problems we can't solve into places we can't see. And many of our solutions create more problems. So this is, I think, a good framing of the challenge. And this heuristic is just, I think, very, very important. It's certainly influencing my thinking on designing the future of AI. And this is his idea of life-centered design, which takes design from its position, subsumed by nature, culture, and business, and puts it on top and makes design thinking come first. I think that's, very, very it. Is the way we're working in AI at the minute, it's one of the most horrendous technologies for global warming. And for, at the moment, only a tiny fraction of the world's population is actually using it. So, but if it really was a global phenomenon, this would be a serious calamity. So I'm not going to talk much about this today, but I think one thing that people often forget, because we're very software focused in Silicon Valley where I live, But hardware and new hardware, and particularly photonics, is so important. I mean, I really encourage people to connect with this. There's some wonderful groups, Women of Light. This photonics really would give us the energy efficient computing we need to really have global, have AI be something that everyone can benefit for. There's amazing women researchers in Silicon Valley and in universities here, but we need a real movement of investment and to really, if we were to have an age of light, which I think we need. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that much today, but it's really important to always think about new hardware. And this is a kind of a real, the deep ocean, our great commons, and really important for climate change. It's just a disaster at the minute. I mean, we pay no attention to it. And what we're doing on the planet is having a massive effect there. And the deep ocean is where the carbon cycle begins and ends. So this is just so important. And this idea we have that this sort of, the richest 1% are now really responsible for the same level of carbon emissions as the poorest 3.1 billion. When we talk about AI, we need to talk about this. And if we're talking about the situation we have now with the massive, power consumption, I mean, if we might we might have to think about what we're spending this power on, and is it for things that really help us all? And I think this is now on the side of how amazing AI could be for helping us with our grand problems like climate change. This ability now to see ecologies from space and correlate that data with very local data. It's just it gives us an amazing capacity to understand what's going on. That big problem that Bruce Mao says that describes, where we can't, if we don't see it, we don't care about it, and it just goes on. So this is a very optimistic promise. But this is where you really have to start thinking big, because those eyes in space and their continued ability to work for humanity depends on our understanding about this great commons of space. I mean, one accident or aggression in space in the Earth's orbit could destroy our ability to go into space for hundreds of years. So I encourage everyone to think about space. And then the other thing we're up against is we need new tools of representation. If you look at these pictures, this is the way our current organizations like NASA actually understand space systems. You have to have this giant room and tons of screens. So this is one thing. And if you Brett Victor is just relationship with machines and human language. But human language isn't the only thing we need a new relationship with. We certainly need a new relationship with our oceans and coral reefs and a lot of our environment. And something was very close to my heart. I went to a wonderful workshop about communication with horses. And I mean, if we actually, the person who ran this observed horses in the wild for years, and our wilderness and wild horses are a big challenge. If we understood horses better and their languages had languages of representation, we would actually do better with that problem too. And there's a lot of talk about multimodal languages for basically human languages, images and text, and bring it all together. But I'm thinking even bigger than that. We need a real focus on new languages of representation. And this is one of the superpowers of AI, is it can help us do this. This is a lovely project, AI Learns the Coral Reef Song, and was able to help us correlate the soundscape of a reef with its health. And this is just one of many things we could be doing. And I know there's many people here who've worked in XR and all of the, this is where simulation comes in as the conjunction of simulation and AI is probably one of the most powerful tools we could imagine, because prediction and many other things. But photogrammetry of these reefs, and this gives researchers and divers a chance to be there 24 hours a day if they want. Now, This gets to another issue, though. Most of these, early initiatives are all about just very elite groups, scientists and researchers. We actually need access, I think, to these kind of tools for everyone. And this is probably a very central thesis to what I'm saying here. Um, AI is a new social collaboration between nature, humans, and non-humans can change everything. So this is how we can accomplish that massive change that Bruce Mao, puts out there. And it's both these, languages of representation and new media and medium to spread these languages. So there's two sides to this. And I think an earlier speaker described how quickly ChatGPT ramped. And this is because, for two reasons. It's working in a familiar language, our language of representation, and also because it was able to piggyback on the internet and all the vast, capacities of that. But we're going to have to, the scraping the data to the fact that we very easily can get these tools up and running. But we have to, if we're designing the future of AI, we can't stop there. And I think this is something very important to think about, is how are we going to scale designing the future of AI beyond it being a tiny elite of a few big companies and a few very rich people. And of course, open innovation has given us a model of how this can be done. And it's actually happening amazingly in AI. I mean, if you start watching, investigating what's happening with smaller models, it's so exciting. This is like, the large models are very, very potent and very powerful. And I wouldn't want to lose my chat GPTs right now. But this, this growing ecosystem of diverse models, smaller models, being able to have scalable personal AI, LLMs on the phone, so important. And this is a very well understood way of working together in diverse and situations where we differ on many things, but we can agree to do good things together. And then one of the other things that is really the big question, and we know this from some of our design fictions in film, is who's in charge matters. I mean, if you know from her, Samantha's motivations and control are pretty hidden from Theodore, but Tony Stark, who actually built Jarvis, is really in control. So lesson there, you've got to empower more people to build these systems and interact with them. And that's, this is the heart of what I'm interested in now. And please ping me if you're also interested, is that I really think now is the time to explore these different mediums. And this, I would say, is a new medium that I've been working on with Anson Hook for a while now. And its premise is that it's a medium that will democratize AI agents and help people put them, build their own agents, be in control of their data if they want to be, because it's sandbox. But also there's a really big question in personal AIs and how you can build them ethically. A lot of people say, oh, well, they've got to be off the network, right, to be safe for people. But the problem with money under the bed is it's not very useful. It's money in the bank might be more at risk, but it's very useful. So this sort of sandboxing in the cloud and containers in the cloud for personal AIs is super important. And democratizing it, because we communicate now in natural language. This is the moment where many, many people can start getting involved with software that weren't previously. I've got a minute to wrap up, so I'm going to just go a little quickly. But I'm very interested in personal AIs, working on this. We need to be able to, run niche LLMs, auto GPT, and this. I want my own digital strategist after working in technology strategy for so many years. So that's the illustration on the right. I worked with Will Wright 4 years. He's the greatest master of AI design, both from emergent behavior, which is what makes simulation games interesting, but also for empowering users. So you're not on a roller coaster, you're at the driving seat. Now, this is another thing we could talk about forever. Emergent behavior is the thing that delights us in AI. It's also the thing that scares us. And this is something, we can have a whole talk on. But, when Will was designing The Sims, he was designing for emergent behavior because that's what makes it fun. But obviously, in a game, it might be fun to play it so burning someone's house down, which people used to do in The Sims. That's not very fun in real life. And again, this is OpenAI's hide and seek experiment, and this is really interesting. Go look it up. The emergent tool use. But so the singularity is underway. Oh, look, I spelled singularity wrong. So we'll go on to the next slide. This is really my wrap-up slide about what I think we should be doing. I think this is the grand challenge for this century, to create socially and ethically adept hybrid ecologies of nature, humans, and non-humans. And be talking about this next week at AWE in a panel. And also, if you can catch Daniel Suarez and read Critical Mass, his understanding of what's going on in space and the future of space is just incredible. And that's a really important book to read. And I think that's it. Did I wrap up in time?